Our hosts and their guests consider the latest assaults on norms from this White House and ask if we are in or heading for a constitutional crisis.
So I would love to get both of your reactions to Trump suggesting that he's going to jail political opponents. Olivia, you go first.
Look, I think Donald Trump projects and says what he plans to do, so I think we should take it very seriously, and I don't think it's going to stop at just political opponents. I think when he says that, I think he means anyone who's ever crossed him, and he'll start, whether it's a political party or he'll start with people like you in the media, people like me who have been outspoken critics, and there will be actually no justification for it is the thing, right? Like, it's exactly the point that you made at the end of your opening right now. What's the crime? What are you trying to investigate? There's no there, but it doesn't matter to Trump because he will bend the rules and he will put enablers in place who are going to go along with it.
We had you scheduled for the other day and you couldn't make it. I was like, is she in El Salvador? Is she in a prison?
Yes. Please ask that question every time because it's getting a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, always a possibility.
And I'm like, oh no, they don't take women. Okay, maybe she's in Gitmo.
That's a good point.
Yet.
That'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Olivia, I thought of you because I saw, you've obviously been talking about the targeting of Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor. But, I was at the Bulwark, but someone wrote a terrifying piece about how, if you'd asked me last week, should they flee the country, I would have said, oh, no, of course not. This week, I might not say, I might say yes. And I thought of you because I thought for some reason he also seems to be making particular targets of Republicans like all of you guys that worked for him in the Trump administration. So these are not some wild-eyed liberals he's targeting, right? It's people that told the truth in the Trump administration.
Yeah, and look, I think it's obviously strategic, and he's doing it on purpose because it does have the chilling effect. I think, one, it was a message certainly to all of us out here, and it's sort of like, do you stay the course or not? And I think it was a bigger message, too, to people that are currently serving in this administration with him and in government. I think that was also part of the effect of, like, making an example of them. Yep. And saying, pay attention to what I'm doing here. Do not step out of line. I'm in control, and this will happen to you. And I think that was part of it.
Well, this is why I say it every day, and I'm repetitive. Do you think I'm repetitive?
Are you repetitive?
I feel like I repeat things.
I think you're repetitive.
I keep saying courage is contagious, and so is cowardice. And that's why you are so important, Olivia, and all of the people like Harvard that are not bending the knee. Because, if we all resist, nobody bends the knee, he's powerless. He's hoping. This is what bullies do: is they hope to intimidate enough people. Like you said, when Trump uses the power of the presidency to target truth tellers like Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor, it's not just retaliation; it's a warning to all of us. I spoke with Joyce Vance about what this moment means, why it's so dangerous, and what it feels like when you know you could be next. I mean, I do have to ask you, Olivia. All jokes aside, what does that feel like? I mean, you must personally some days feel terrified.
I got a text that day when it was happening from someone, and they said, turn on Fox News. And I was like, ooh, why?
Oh, God.
And so I did, and I saw what was happening. And I have to be honest, I was sitting on the couch, and I was just waiting. I was waiting for my name.
Yeah.
And my husband walked in. He just got home from work, and he looked at me, and he's like, what's going on? And I was pale, and I was watching it develop, and it was chilling. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit, it shook me. But on the other hand, I also sat there and I was like, well, I knew this day would come in some sort of way. And so right now it's not me, but it means that I just have to fight for them. And so I think that's sort of the feeling that I had, and the reaction was just, I have to make sure that the story remains front and center, that we don't give this a pass, that it doesn't kind of just become a blip. I was furious the next day when no reporter in the press conference, during that press conference in the cabinet meeting, no one asked about it, right? I mean, it took a while for the reporters to ask about it. And I know that, they're also scared. And, well, whatever legitimate reporters we have left in the press pool, because this is now state-dominated media joining the press conference for the most part, right? So I say that not really lightly because it's what's happening. But, yeah, and so I think my message to people is, if you think it can't happen to you, it can, because they're chipping away at this. And I think, you may not agree with Miles Taylor's politics. You may not agree with Chris Krebs. Chris Krebs was just doing his job. By the way, he was just securing the election. Yeah. And that's what got him in trouble. All he said was that the election was safe and secure, which, by the way, court cases have also said. I mean, this has been litigated over and over and over, but Trump can't let 2020 go.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to be alarmed when we're seeing this, because it has a greater meaning for our freedom of speech and our individual rights. And we're seeing this. We're seeing Trump target law firms. We're seeing him target universities. We're seeing him target outspoken Republican officials who were served in his administration.
Yeah.
And I think, and now we're seeing in this case with this gentleman in El Salvador that I don't know that he's ever going to see his family again. And it pains me to think that, because he deserves legal process.
Yeah.
And this is awful.
And you threaded about this. You said Trump said the homegrowns are next. That's not just a phrase, it's a warning. This is what state-sponsored disappearance looks like. Can I take a moment to say I'm just a little lame-ass white girl that works in my basement, but I will be your Harriet Tubman. I will shelter you. I will take you in and protect you. But this is how scary it's getting. When you talk to Joyce, I thought you said some interesting stuff, Olivia. You said this kind of move doesn't just impact Krebs or Taylor, it impacts their families, potentially their careers, even their friendships, the stress, the potential reputational damage of just being investigated, quote unquote, the financial burden of defending yourself. It's immense. I've lived through lawfare from Trump loyalists. It's exhausting, and it is meant to be. You said, and if this is what he's doing out in the open, we have to ask ourselves, what else is happening behind the scenes? What are they planning? Who's next? That's what many who are potentially future targets of Trump's retribution are wondering. These aren't isolated incidents. It's part of a broader strategy that Trump is enacting. And I have to give you Exhibit A, Tish James, who you can't tell me that the day after she announced she's going to investigate insider trading in this whole tariff thing, that they're like, oh, you're being investigated for mortgage fraud or something, right?
Yeah, and they have the power of every lever in the U.S. government, right? That's the thing. Whichever way they want to go, right? I mean, they're doing it to Harvard right now. We're watching it. They're like, okay, we're going to revoke your IRS nonprofit, tax exempt status. We're going to do this. Like, they are looking at every possible avenue, and they're saying, okay, well, this is how we'll target that individual. And they're doing it across the board. And I'm concerned because it's going to, we have Tish James. All she's doing is trying to follow the rule of law. That is actually
because she's the only
here,
place that can do it. Our DOJ or SEC or FBI won't do it. I mean, and by the way, Call to Activism posted video. So nothing to see here. Just Steve Bannon 5 months ago openly threatening to go after Letitia James. As you say, none of this is an accident, Olivia. I mean, Richard said Trump and Bondi are weaponizing the DOJ to target Letitia James for exposing their corruption. This is a blatant abuse of power, prosecuting political enemies while ignoring their own crimes. James will stand strong against this authoritarian playbook, but it's a story, not even a day, several stories a day, isn't it, out of the authoritarian playbook?
Yeah, and I think that they're flooding the zone, right? We've been watching them do this since he took office, and it's one thing after another. And I think it's important for us. I mean, yes, is it exhausting? I'm exhausted, right? Every day I'm like, okay, this is another thing that we need to make sure we're tracking. But I think that we've also got to lean on each other, and we've got to make sure that we keep taking a stand against this. Because the second that we stop taking a stand against this, and the second we stop talking about it, which I know people want to tune out, and then they're like, I'm done with the news. I've got friends that are saying I'm not even watching anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. The second we start doing that, that's what they want.